On April 26, 1986, the world's worst nuclear power plant disaster occurs in the Soviet Union at Chernobyl.
But what caused this tragedy? And how does the explosion compare to the atomic bombs of World War II? Also, what impact did it have on the people and animals in the area?
The 4-reactor Chernobyl power plant was constructed in the late 1970s, about 65 miles north of Kiev in modern-day Ukraine. Late in the evening of April 25, 1986, a group of inexperienced engineers began a test that went terribly wrong. In the wee hours of the 26th, mistakes made during the test caused a chemical explosion that blew the heavy steel and concrete lid off the number 4 reactor. This explosion and ensuing fire released more than 50 tons of radioactive material into the air, several times greater than what was produced by the atomic bombs dropped on Hiroshima and Nagasaki during World War II. The next day, Soviet authorities began evacuating the 30,000 residents of the nearby town of Pripyat. The Soviet government hoped to cover up the disaster, but on April 28th, monitoring stations more than 800 miles away in Sweden detected radiation levels 40% higher than normal. Later that day, the Soviet news agency acknowledged that a major nuclear accident had occurred at Chernobyl. 32 people were killed in the immediate aftermath by fire, debris, and acute radiation sickness, and an estimated 5 million others were affected by radiation. In the year 2000, the last working reactors at Chernobyl were shut down, and the plant was officially closed. Soon after the invasion of Ukraine in February 2022, Russian troops occupied the Chernobyl plant site and the Exclusion Zone, leading to concerns about potential radiation leaks and site safety. At the end of March 2022, the area returned to Ukrainian control. Today, many stray dogs live in the Exclusion Zone. They are descendants of pets abandoned during the 1986 evacuation. These dogs have adapted to the radioactive environment, scavenging for food as well as relying on scraps from workers and tourists for survival. They have also been observed to be genetically distinct from dogs living outside the zone, potentially due to adaptation to the radiation and other environmental stressors. To learn more about the Chernobyl disaster, I highly recommend the 2019 HBO miniseries Chernobyl. Here are other events that happened today in history. In 1865, John Wilkes Booth is killed 12 days after he assassinated U.S. President Abraham Lincoln. In 1915, Italy agrees to enter World War I on the side of the Allies on the promise of territorial gains. In 1917, Chinese-American architect I.M. Pei, famous for the Louvre's glass pyramid, is born in Guangzhou. In 1937, during the Spanish Civil War, Hitler tests his air force by bombing the Spanish town of Guernica. In 1982, a gunman holds up singer Rod Stewart and steals his Porsche in broad daylight in Los Angeles. In 1986, Van Halen's 5150, the band's first album with Sammy Hagar as lead singer, hits number 1 in the US. In 2021, census data shows that US population growth is at the lowest rate since the Great Depression. And now it's time for our Today in History quiz. What is considered the deadliest maritime disaster in U.S. history? The Sultana in 1865, the General Slocum in 1904, the Titanic in 1912, or the Eastland in 1915?
Liked learning about the Chernobyl nuclear disaster? Then you'll love this one about the largest non-nuclear explosion in human history. Tap the screen to keep the story going on Today in History.